Welcome back. Today's topic is not necessarily directly shared within the title of this video, so you're going to have to pay attention and stay longer within the video to see the actual topic. Now, what I have written on the board is a combination of all kinds of different things, but these are the things that if you're a Generation Xer, according to my schematics of what YouTube has supplied to me, majority of this viewer, or most of the viewers of this channel are between the ages of 35 and 55. So most of you being Generation X, you're going to understand some of the things I'm about to bring up. Now, in previous videos, I mentioned that there's some controversy going on with the assassination of Charlie Kirk. We also heard about a subway woman that was murdered. Now there's 5 police officers that have been injured with a domestic abuse in Pennsylvania. While the media, social media, and TV and radio broadcasts are focusing on this entirely, remember, we're not the first generation to experience this, okay? So as a Generation Xer, for those of you 35 to 55 years old or even a little bit older, you can remember all the debates and things that happened behind the shooting of JFK, okay? So let's go back to JFK. For those of you that are able to watch some of the older film footage, realize there was 3 shots taken, according to the FBI, CIA reports, whatever, okay? There was 3 shots, not counting the grassy knoll, that were delivered from a high point within a apartment complex. The first round apparently ricocheting, okay? They never found the projectile, so on and so forth. They just found the casing. The second shot went through the throat from back to front of JFK and through the shoulder of the individual in the front seat of the car. Now, as he was attending to his wound, there was a third shot, and the third shot was immediate, again, from the back of the head to the front, and that bullet was able to pass through JFK at approximately the same distance of the shots that were done for Charlie Kirk. Now, that caliber used for the JFK assassination was a 6.5 millimeter. Now, for any of you modern day rifle enthusiasts, you realize the brand new 6.5 millimeter cartridges that are coming out, whether it be PRC, so on and so forth, the ballistics and the longer action needed because of the longer projectile themselves. If you compare the ballistics of the 6.5 compared to the larger 30-06, you're going to realize at 200 yards, according to the FBI reports, a 30-06 retains approximately 2,500 pounds of pressure upon impact. Almost the exact same energy that a 6.5 millimeter has at 200 meters. Now, if we go back to the Kennedy assassination, realize the distance was very similar, okay, within 50 feet of each other, the actual distances, because the motorcade of JFK was moving away from the shooter. Where in the Charlie Kirk case, the shooter was stationary within distance. So between 150 feet to 200 meters is what took JFK's life. And we have video footage showing the dramatic impacts that it causes from that high-powered rifle. Now, are you seeing the exact same thing within the Charlie Kirk investigation now? It's the exact same kind of delusion that our investigative services here in the United States did back then. So again, this isn't just prior to Generation X, but we all grew up being shown footage of that. The conspiracy theories behind it, so on and so forth. We were raised to, to understand that there was some collusion going on behind that. Now, everybody's talking about the Epstein list, okay? Now, I hate to get into politics because that's what they are. They're politics. They have never been truthful, okay? They're a delusion to anybody that follows along with politics. Now, Congress just voted it down approximately a couple hours after Charlie Kirk was actually assassinated. They shot it down to actually to release the Epstein list, what they have within evidence. Everyone that we know in this modern era, they are part of that list. Everyone. Now, as a Generation Xer, this is not something new to us, especially when it comes to child trafficking, child pornography, so on and so forth. The elite of Hollywood stars, as we're growing up, were known for that. One of the highest recorded musicians in American history, Michael Jackson. He established his own Neverland to attract individuals to his property for whatever reason. Now, we knew even as Generation Xer that Michael Jackson had a underlying mental illness. Okay, if you didn't know that, okay, you need to come out of the closet. Okay, there was definitely something off with Michael Jackson. His music was ahead of its time, even going back to generations before Generation X with the Jackson 5, the youngest individual in the choir, I guess if you want to call it. He was raised in the limelight, and he held on to his infancy throughout his entire life, even to the point where he was embarrassed of being a black man. He was attempting to transition into a white man. There was obvious mental illness within Hollywood and within our music during Generation X. So what we are seeing today with purple-haired individuals, carrying out murders, executions, so on and so forth, it's nothing new to Generation X. We have seen it. And even the baby boomers that came before us, they knew about all this stuff too. They were presented with wars. Generation X was presented with wars. Okay? The newer, younger generations, sorry folks, for those of you under 30, you are just not going to get this. Everything you see now is going to be something that maybe is new to you. You've heard the stories about all the stuff going on, and even if you were born after the year of 2000, you didn't know the reality. You didn't experience the attacks on 9/11. But to realize during both the baby boomers and Generation X, the Twin Towers had been attacked multiple times prior to that, unsuccessfully taking down the buildings using, explosives, so on and so forth. There was attacks on the World Trade Centers. Generation X is also the generation that was able to experience the mechanical age, the industrial age of the United States through the 1980s, that then transitioned into the Apple computer, so on and so forth. And as we're growing up within Generation X, normally our junior high and high school level of education had to do with entry-level computers, where you actually had to type in computer start, okay? There was no Cherie where you could just talk into it, so on and so forth. Technology has advanced dramatically throughout our entire generation of Generation X. Why did I put that there? You have to excuse me, I forgot why I wrote that down in there. While the topic or subject of discussion here in our United States today is within gun violence, okay, it's not necessarily guns, and I have proof of that for you. The parking lots of high school students throughout the 70s and 80s, the back window of most of your pickup trucks, no matter where you lived, had firearms in the back window. Loaded firearms in the back window. How many school shootings occurred during that time? Even to the point where our education in Generation X included firearms training, hunter safety, Boy Scouts, even Girl Scouts. Learned at a very young age, say 11 and 12 years old, how to be proficient with a firearm. So no need for any kind of military training, so on and so forth. It was part of life. So everything that's being given to you within propaganda. It's not conspiracy theory to be able to see the facts and call it out. Pretty much everything being released by our investigative agencies right now, they do not line up. And as a Generation Xer, or even baby boomers, you know you can see right through it. It's obvious to you. All of this new propaganda is targeted for the younger individuals at universities, at schools. So again, like I said, the headline of this video isn't going to necessarily pertain to what I'm talking about here, because only a Generation Xer has experienced all of that. They have been experienced to the analog age, to the digital age. They've had to adapt the most out of any generation. Period. Individuals from, that are still around from maybe the Great Depression, so on and so forth, they had to adapt a lot to not having anything. But the amounts of change within technology, most of it occurred during the generation of Generation X. Now again, we can go back to baby boomers. Here's another example. In the 1960s, obviously in protest of the Vietnam War, again, you had hippies that were protesting the war at multiple universities. There was individuals shot and killed during that time. You had evangelists like Martin Luther King that traveled to the universities to spread his contest to the rights of black people. Okay? He was also assassinated. Okay, so connect the dots. That's why it's so important that we teach our history to our younger individuals. And we also are responsible to also train them within firearms. As responsible adults, we have to train our youth. Now, the shooter for Charlie Kirk, everybody says, oh, I had to take a professional, so on and so forth. No, because his family was actually raising him with firearms during his childhood. He was a competitive shooter at a younger age. So his shot, if he is the actual individual, according to the evidence, again, I don't believe it, I don't buy it, he did have the capabilities, period. Now going to the 60s, you baby boomers, you experienced the hippies, okay? Veterans were complaining about the same thing as they are now, that when they came home that the government, drafted them, made them go into a war zone, most of them not coming back, and the ones that did were immediately spit on by our own civilization. Veterans that have come back from the war and terror, they're receiving the same respect. They've lost VA benefits, so on and so forth. The government's not taking care of them. We honor them certain days of the year, but how many of you can actually say that you've respected somebody within your family or close association? For those of you younger than Generation X, had the realization of what they went through. Now, just as I got ready to create this video, I heard a piece of music from my generation. Okay, the grunge era, the 1990s. There's multiple bands out of Seattle, California, Chicago, New York. And at the same time frame, during the 1990s, every venue of music was very popular. Okay, so if you pulled into a high school parking lot, every vehicle would have a different type of music playing, whether it be rap music, country music, heavy metal, grunge, you name it. There was a combination of all kinds of different people within the high schools and within the population. There's actually two songs. Sorry, I forgot to mention this one. Excuse me, I can't remember the name of the band, but you long-haired hippie people need not apply. So the individuals, the hippies during the 1960s, were they identified as having some kind of a mental illness? Did they take things to the extreme? Did they, as flower children, did they believe in love and peace and everybody get along. Does that sound familiar to what we are experiencing in our society today? Absolutely, right? Now, the song I had just left off on from the 1990s by the name of the band name of Pearl Jam. They have a song, a very dark song. And if you get a chance, even if you didn't grow up in Generation X or if you're into different music genre, please listen to the song named Jeremy from Pearl Jam. Listen of how an individual from Generation X described something that actually occurred in a school. Okay, I'm not going to ruin it for you. Actually listen to the lyrics of the song. How did the individuals deal with arguments, disagreements during the 1980s while their parking lots were full of firearms? Did individuals get picked on? Were individuals called out for having something out of the ordinary? Purple hair, mohawks? During the 1980s and 1990s, the MTV generation, that's what made things entertaining, was the complete difference within our society. What is the difference between those individuals and today? They were also easily, undiagnosed mental illnesses, but were able to all get along. We identify the differences. It's what made America what we are. We even appreciated, even to this day, if we have foreign exchange students that come into our communities, you're interested in them. You ask them questions. You want to get to know, what's it like where you live. As a member of the military, I was able to travel the world. I got to see the experiences firsthand in their home countries. It's not the population of the world that's against each other. It's our governments. I can tell you that right now. If you were to remove the governments in every single country around the world, okay, except for the Middle East, okay, their government's religion based, if you were to remove all the governments of every country in the world, any one of us could travel different countries and we'd be invited in. I could go up and talk to a Russian right now. Obviously, the dialogue's not there, but we could go in and we could share stories of our life experiences. We could sit down and eat dinner together. We wouldn't want to be dropping nukes on each other's heads. Okay? You can also travel to Japan, which I lived there for a certain amount of time. Even the locals, they would invite you in and want to know what it's like to be westernized, what it's like to be an American. It's the governments that are at war here. And when we start getting individuals of our population that are turning on each other, why is it? Because we've experienced all of these problems before. I'm going to add one last thing to this just to keep the video short. This goes out to any red-blooded Generation X male. How many of you grew up? You don't have to admit it or not, but I will call you out. How many of you have ever viewed a Playboy magazine? So this Epstein list is going about child trafficking and sex trafficking. So, okay, that's obviously a crime and a criminal action. I believe it goes a little bit deeper than that, but that's, again, more conspiracy theories. I don't have the evidence backing up. But what I can tell you that if there was a list about adult males being interested in young, underage females, it's every red-blooded American that ever viewed a Playboy magazine. So if you were to create a list of everybody that had a subscription to Playboy magazine, are you not part of a list of pedos? Because majority of the women in Playboy magazine, these centerfolds, majority of them were not 18 years of age. Okay, so again, be very careful what you are being led to believe. While there's crimes going on with the Epstein list and controversy and individuals disappearing out of the ordinary that might have some evidence to incarcerate other people, it's not something new. Generation X experienced it. Hell, there was even a Disney World attraction at Michael Jackson's home to bring children in. And parents would drop their children off without providing supervision. So again, folks, being realistic, whenever you hear something going on in the media, think back to your life experience, and especially if you're in Generation Xers, what kind of things did you experience? And how did we make it through it? How are we able to say that we are 40, 50, 60 years old now, and we didn't kill somebody through that entire process of our life experience? We have generations now that are purposely killing individuals that might call them out on their differences. We have individuals that are not even American citizens killing foreigners. Okay? Illegal immigrants killing foreigners, visitors. And we also have police officers being shot for domestic issues. How many of you, again from Generation X, how many of you can honestly say that you were raised in a home where your father, okay, I'm not speaking from my own experience, had a father that drank a lot? That his word was the authority. Mom could take a little bit, direction, and she would stand up for the kids in the family, say your multiple siblings. But how many of you received your punishment from your father? And was he drinking at that time? That was a reality for many kids within the United States. What is happening today? We have domestic problems. We have relationship problems where there's split families. And a lot of the time, even here where I live, the children's relationship with their dad are actually influenced by government control. Is that in response to what happened with families and fathers that might have pulled out their leather belt and used it across their butt? Or going back even to the 60s, you boomers out there, that might got a ruler across your fingers if you misbehaved in school? Today, a teacher cannot lay a finger on our students. And look at how our students are turning out. Look at how Generation Y and millennials and stuff, look at how they're turning out. When they get into the real world, are they able to adapt with these kind of extreme situations? Now, one of the theories out of this Charlie Kirk thing is that this individual actually debated Charlie at a previous rally, and that Charlie kind of made him look bad, so then he carried out this atrocity. He was obviously mentally ill. His family knew about it. Nothing. Go ahead and check out what his mom's profession is. Is it not her legal responsibility to report any kind of concern to authorities? If an individual comes in and talks to a psychiatrist and they say, oh, I'm thinking about killing somebody, is it not their responsibility to share that information? But she didn't for her own son. They can't say that they didn't know, okay? Even if this Tyler or Taylor or whatever is the shooter, what I can tell you, the evidence that's being shown by the FBI does not back that story up. It's the same thing as the JFK case. So again, this video is a little bit off of track of what normally goes on. You might all say that, oh, I'm just wearing a tinfoil hat, a conspiracy theory. Once again, folks, I'm not telling you how to think or what's interesting to you or what entertainment is. As somebody from Generation X, all of you that watch this from Generation X, can you recall times during our lives where we experienced the exact same thing that's happening today? Yes, we all lived through it. How did we ever make it? Okay, so again, there's a narrative trying to get different generations to think something. And through Generation X, the population of Generation X, we were against government. All of us were. Everyone was against government. We wanted our freedom. We wanted authorities, whether that be the principal of the school, local police officers, to local politicians. We didn't want them in our lives. we were able to live in harmony even with our differences. But we're able to settle arguments without taking somebody's life. So again, learn how to think. I'm not telling you what to think. Learn how to think. Look back at your own life experiences. We have experienced this before. It's old news. I can guarantee most of you have already forgotten about this. You've already moved on with your life, moved on to the next goal. Time does not stop. No matter what happens, while you are alive, time will not stop. Again, don't believe all this hype that media sharing. It's all BS. Have a good one.